Okay, so let's talk about watering. This is how we prevent it, right? So some of our clients have irrigation systems. I would say probably the majority of them have them. Now, whether or not we're using them correctly is a whole nother issue. So water management is key. I mean, Ruth, when you guys are in the office, you are that front line, like what kind of tips are you giving clients to kind of get off on the right foot?
So we always tell them that a good starting point is a tuna can. Like if you have a tuna can, put it out and that amount per week. But that's just a base point. Like, again, this is your lawn. It's very individual. It's not a one size fits all. So that's the starting point. You really have to be paying attention. Last year, during the extreme drought stress that we had, 1 inch was not enough. So we really had to encourage clients to do more. And it's always more than what you think it is, which is why doing a visual measurement is such a good idea, because it's usually never enough, whatever you think. And you want to water deeply and infrequently, but that means, every other day. You don't want to be watering back to back. And because when you water deeply, those roots are being forced to go deeper into the soil instead of that surface level growth with, root formations on the top of it. You don't want that. You want the roots to go deeply into the soil. So that's where we start. It's just a good watering practice is the best thing.
And Jared, those first signs, like we were just talking about previously for clients, they're just like, I don't know, like I've done the tuna can, but like, is there anything that they can be looking for early on to say like, okay, I'm maybe over or underwatering, I guess.
If you know what it looks like healthy, then you know that it's not healthy when you look outside. I had a wonderful meeting with a client the other day who in a lot of years, her watering practices have probably been sufficient when we were getting regular rainfall. Last year, we had such a sequence of prolonged drought periods that it just simply wasn't enough. But, she had parts of her yard that did much better than others. And then she had a couple parts that were just really exposed that really got beat on. And to Ruth's point, it doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all solution. But what I will encourage people to do is familiarize yourself with how your yard looks healthy. That's the easiest way to know when it's not healthy. And I think that there is a crossover point for a lot of people where I think that they hope that doing this well is easier than it is. Or there's also sort of this underlying, they assume it's much harder than it is to grow good turf grass. And really all it is about being engaged and involved with your yard and making sure you know what it looks like. When it looks good, it looks good. And so if it starts to look a little odd, well, let's find out why. Sometimes it's as honest as it's just hot and it's a little stressed out, and it doesn't really matter if you're doing all the best stuff. It's going to be a little stressed out for a little while. But a lot of times it's as honest and as simple as we need more water in this zone.
Yeah.
It's a hill, it's southern exposed or something crazy, and it just needs more water.
Yeah. And then Ruth, what happens once we get everybody watering properly? What's going to happen? It's going to start raining.
It's going to start raining.
And we're going to have a 10-year flood. And then what do we got to do?
And then we're going to have overwatering.
Yeah. Turn off your irrigation system.
Turn off the irrigation system. Yeah, you really...
All that hard work goes whoosh,
you really
down the
have
river.
to use your judgment on when rain is coming. And again, we live in Georgia, so it's going to say it's going to rain and it's not. Or it's not going to say it's going to rain and it will. And you really have to keep that in mind as you're watering. And overwatering, the results look just like underwatering.
Yeah.
Dead leaf tissue, wilty, brown, sad. So it's just, you gotta...
Feels like a swamp when you're walking through it. Like those are all key signs. You
gotta let the lawn dry out between watering. You have to do that. Or then you have root rot and you can't come back. You can come back from a dry lawn. You can't come back from root rot.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I cannot get a sponsorship from this company, but I will go ahead and pitch it again. Ratio, it makes a great smart timer, but there's also Rainbird makes a good one. Like there's just all this technology now out there that we did not have 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had these little things that hooked onto the side of the house and they worked for the first season, then they would break and people wouldn't get them fixed. But the apps, the technology, it alerts you based off the weather. It's not perfect, but it's a very easy way to, number one, save yourself some money. I mean, there's so many people that could reduce their water bill during those periods of heavy rain that don't because their irrigation system's running while it's raining, because they have them set for, Jared, like that was my next question. It's like, what time of the day, should we be watering our lawns? It's not when usually we're awake and in the lawn, out active in the landscape.
Yeah, you should schedule it to finish by 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, so that way it's good. It has an opportunity to get absorbed, but it's not going to sit there wet forever because the ET rates are getting ready to go up.
So upgrade your controller. It's critical if you really want to improve the lawn, unless you're just very, very on top of the watering. Like it just changes so much in Georgia so fast.
I will encourage though, like even with systems like that, I think they're wonderful and they do such a good job of protecting plant health. I do think that it is important. It's the same as like modern cruise control systems in cars. I mean, like there's cars out there that can almost drive themselves at this point, but you still want to pay attention to the road. I mean, you still want to make sure that like it didn't have a whoops-a-daisy and all of a sudden it's been watering too many days in a row, or, the previous segment that we were talking about that for some reason a valve isn't down and it's not watering at all. All of a sudden you're trusting the system to run and it may even look like it's been running on the computer, but it's not, it hasn't actually been doing anything. It's just, the cycling hasn't worked the way that you wanted it to. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Those smart systems are incredible, but keep your eyes on the road too. Make sure that you are staying engaged with your landscape. It's the way that you're going to maximize results from a program like ours or anyone's for that matter.
Yeah.